Hello, and welcome to the 108 podcast. I'm Amanda,
And I'm Raquel.
and we're the Type 1 Together girls.
We are stripping down life with type 1 diabetes from two people who live different versions of it every single day. Please remember, Type 1 Together does not give medical advice. We are only sharing from personal experience. Hi, everyone.
How are you?
I'm pretty good. How are you? And little
Good. Yeah, Bonnie's sleeping again on me. I tried to put her down in her crib like usual, and she looked at me and said, "Are you freaking kidding me? Pick me up." So now she's been asleep for 2 hours in the carrier.
You look so cozy right now. Like, how nice it must be to just be
I
cuddled up.
know, right? She just is like a little chiller. She's not wiggling or crying or anything. So, of course, I'm gonna snuggle my last baby like
Oh, you
this.
have to, as
Yeah.
much as you can. But all right, today we're going to do a quick episode going through some of the responses that we got for, sometimes I do these like Friday question boxes where I say share a high about diabetes, meaning a win, and a low, meaning a challenge from the past week. And so we have lots of submissions. Do you want to start us off with one?
Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so the first one that is I'm like already starting to think about, even though we're probably years out from this, is I cannot get the basal rate right. Is puberty knocking on the door? And I mean, one, I cannot imagine the frustration of like, especially when you're, of trying so many things when it feels like you really know diabetes. When you get to this place of having it for so long, and when you know what to do, what to change, and you make those changes and you see the positive results, it does feel like if you just put your head down and work, you can get where you want to go. But then doing that and not seeing the results all of a sudden, and it's
Yeah.
like this brand new issue, which those of us who have, kids who were diagnosed very young and then go through puberty while having diabetes, that's one of those things where like we can't prepare for that. You just have to learn it on the fly. So I'm curious if you have any like thoughts or how your numbers were during puberty, if you remember.
Probably a mess. I don't remember a ton, but I think, I mean, if you're talking about basal rate, I am wondering if this person is on Tandem, since if you're on Control IQ, it more works with the basal rate, from my understanding. And the cool thing about any of the pumps now is that it is adjusting a lot of this for you. My realization lately, because even though I'm not going through puberty, I do go through monthly hormone cycles, and it really changes my insulin needs. So what I notice is, and this is not medical advice, of course, personally, if I just set my basal rate a lot higher, it's giving the pump permission to give me a certain amount more than what the basal rate is set to, because that's kind of how these algorithms work, is like based on the settings, it has its own algorithm and decision making like setup that we don't fully know how it works, but we know that it can only give up to a certain percentage above what you have the rate set to. And so I've realized that if I have it set to a higher amount, it gives the pump permission to give me way more when I need it. But then when I don't need it, it just suspends. And so, or it lowers the amount. And that's what's so beautiful about all of these automated systems.
Yeah.
So I feel like for me, at least, I had to just be confident in like raising that a little bit over time in a very safe way.
But what is it? What's the difference? Can you speak to that? Like what your standard basal
Yeah.
rate looks like versus what your
Oh
hormonal
gosh.
basal rate is?
Yeah, like the other day I actually just changed mine because I'm also dealing with, like, I've been doing a lot more strength workouts, and I cannot believe how much my insulin sensitivity increases the day after a strength workout. Like I changed my basal rate from like 1.6 to zero point 0.9 because I
Oh,
was going low
wow.
so much. Like it was a big jump, and it's really confusing when I'm not always doing these workouts consistently, because it's like, oh, I do need them and then I don't need the rate. And I want to just be more consistent with it so that my insulin is more consistent, like not even just because I want that for my body, but yeah, so that kind of jump, like my basal rates generally range from 1 to 1.8 throughout the day, but as my sensitivity changes, sometimes they drop down to 0.8, but then the pump will adjust to a certain extent above that. You know what I mean? So like it can be really different.
Yeah. Okay. So it sounds like up to double is like
Yeah.
what you could need. And that's just you specifically. That's not medical advice, all the things. But okay.
Exactly. So with puberty, generally that means you need more insulin, not less.
Yeah.
So I find raising basal to be one of the safest ways to raise insulin in a pump. that is automated because the pump's adjusting that for you. So even if you raise it to a certain number, it's not going to always give you that full amount if it doesn't think you need it. But again, that's based off of Tandem reading
Yeah.
or predicting 6 readings ahead. But if you're not on an automated system, that is definitely not true
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
manual mode is very different.
And that's tandem specific too, because with Omnipod, Meg and I would be saying give more bolus, like increase
Right.
the amount that you're giving for all of your meals. And then the pump in the next, like in the following days, will adjust the basal rate for you based on that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, with puberty or with what I deal with, like I definitely need more or less for that stuff too. So it's kind of like bumping up all the numbers.
Is there puberty, like once it starts, like the needs are just high all the time? Or is it like puberty starts and then the needs are high for like a week and then they go
Yeah.
back? Or
That's definitely a question we should ask a professional, but I would think that they kind of have waves, which in
mm,
a way is similar to growth hormones for kids. And then you get into puberty, and then
mhm.
you get in, if you're a girl too, like to your period and all of that stuff. And so, in one way or another, I feel like all of us have to deal with the ebbs and flows of the needs, but I have a feeling they go back and forth, right?
I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to research that.
Yeah. It's very
Who knows?
interesting. That was a
But
good
good luck
one.
to this person. And I think just I always come back to what would my body be giving myself if I was not diabetic? If I had puberty, I was not diabetic, it would be increasing insulin. So that's probably what I need. Okay, I'm looking for another one. Went to a petting zoo with a play place, probably like a playground, and had our lowest low of 37.
Mm.
What's the lowest number you've seen?
I think 32
Okay. On a meter, right? Because it won't
on a
show.
meter.
Yeah.
That was one of the scariest moments of my life. And I don't think I processed it as it happened because she was 2 and we were still on manual injections. And it was one of those things where the last week after every single injection for breakfast, she was just like in the 200s. And then this one day, she comes stumbling into the kitchen and goes, I need a snack. And she's 2. So she's like slurring through that. And
Yeah.
I can like see her eyes glaze and she's like having trouble walking. And I did a finger prick and yeah, it was 32 and it was, yeah, very scary. I think I just blocked it out because that was my trauma response in the moment.
Yeah. I remember seeing a 28.
Ugh,
But then again, I always remind myself too, like meters are always a little bit off. So maybe I was 35 or maybe you know what I mean?
maybe, yeah.
Maybe I was 20. Who knows? Funny enough, maybe this is also my trauma response. I don't remember being that phased by. I mean, I do remember it. Obviously, it's stuck in my brain, but it's like in the moment, what do? You have to
Yeah.
just eat or give your child food, and then if you have to use glucagon, you use it, and then you have to move on. That's the craziest part about diabetes is that you have these, I don't want to say near death because I don't believe it is, but like very scary situations just randomly, and then you just move on with your life.
Yeah, it's kind of like similar to if anyone has experienced a pregnancy loss or like a really challenging part of pregnancy where like things could have been really wrong. Like before modern science, if that exact thing happened, you and baby would not have made it. But you can't think about it like that because like that's not where we live anymore, you know? And so you're fine. And it's kind of like same thing with these lows. Like, yes, technically, if you didn't have the tools and like there was nothing there to save it, it would have been very, very, very bad. But it didn't happen. And I think that's just part of why therapy is so important for all people, certainly, but definitely those of us living with type 1 in some way or another, like
Yeah.
just processing the fact that you just kind of like go through life and move past very scary health situations often.
I don't know if this person was in our Mental Health Monday call, but we talked about just the guilt that a lot of parents are feeling for. I
Mm,
mean, they use the words like causing this to their kids. I don't believe that's true. It's just in case this mom wasn't there, like, just know. I mean, we were both talking about experiences where we were having these crazy lows, or your daughter was, and there was no insulin on board. And like,
yeah.
there's nothing that you could have really done differently, and it just happened. So I just hope this mom isn't blaming herself too much, especially on a playground. Like sometimes you have those chaotic moments and it just happens.
Yeah, exactly. It really does. And one thing that I said on the Mental Health Monday call that I'll say here is sometimes there's these chaotic moments. And yes, being the person who presses start on the pump or manually gives the injection and then to see the low, of course, it's hard to not blame yourself because your physical action gave the medication that caused that low. But there's also situations in diabetes where severe lows happen and you didn't do anything like that. And that happened to us a few nights ago where Hattie had no insulin on board and she had a low to the 40s and it was like true 40s, like we did a finger poke. And she had lows to the 40s twice, one at like 1 and another one at 3 in the morning or something like that. No insulin on board both times. And she had normal dinner. So it wasn't like, she had no food in her belly or anything. So it's just wild.
So wild. Okay, and maybe we go
Well,
now to some of the highs,
oh, yeah.
just to bring some positivity and also hopefully give people hope if you're feeling really stuck in a difficult time, because we all have the ups and downs. So don't take this as, this is never going to be you kind of thing.
Oh, I have one.
Yeah.
I love this. I finally conquered Eggo thick and fluffy waffles after 1.5 years. The highest he went was 151. This is such a fun win.
Yes.
I
Okay.
love
Growing up, I think I've shared on here before that I had a very strict carb life. I don't even know how to put it, but I had to have like 30 carbs for breakfast, 45 for lunch, or whatever it was. And it was so strict at the time. And for some reason, my mom decided that maybe the doctor said this, like I had literally two chocolate chip Eggo waffles every single morning. And I
so
loved
funny.
it.
Yeah.
Loved it. But it equaled probably 30 carbs, maybe it was 40. And I'm pretty sure I had crazy spikes, but there were no Dexcoms. But it was like, that's the carbs. And like at the time, we didn't really know
Yep.
that certain, especially processed foods, require more insulin. So I'm happy for this person.
Yeah, it's the best. My one of my favorite wins was nailing pancakes and syrup because she freaking loves it. And like sugar-free syrup to me tastes like ass. And to Hattie hurts her head. She complains of it like giving her sick feeling, like she complains of a bellyache, a headache, and whatever. And so I was like, we're not doing sugar-free syrup ever. And so the first time managing pancakes, and I was just like, you can be a kid. You're
Yeah,
welcome.
pancakes are so good. Okay. Someone said belly sites are new and have been awesome. That is such a win. Find
Yes.
stomach to be the best absorption spot. I've heard
Same.
that be true for a lot of
Yep.
people. Yeah, it's
Yep.
for a reason, I think.
I
That's so
wonder if
exciting.
there's just
Learn a
like
new one.
increased blood flow to like your core versus your extremities.
Makes sense. Yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but it sounds right. I remember the first time Hattie was finally willing to try her belly site, and then it quickly became her favorite because it didn't actually hurt. I think for me, at least, when I think about putting something on my belly, it feels so much more um like open and what's the word I'm thinking of when you're yes, vulnerable, thank you, compared to your arm or your leg, but it doesn't actually hurt. I've had belly sites on maybe like 3 times with both tandem tubing and the Omnipod just from being able to try on different pumps at Friends for Life. And I didn't even feel either of them.
I think it's the least painful, except for maybe like my upper hip area. I really don't feel, but when I was on MDI, I only wanted to do my arms, and then they made me do my legs for a while. But then I remember when I first got on a pump, I was so scared to do my stomach too. And now I use it too much. It's like
Yeah.
the best, least painful, best absorption
I
spot.
mean, honestly, same with Hattie. And now I've had to be like, okay, we got to go back to your legs. And she's like, no, it hurts. It hurts. And I'm like, oh, does it hurt? Or have you just not tried it in 6 months, you know?
Leg is very hit or miss, I'll say. Like that's the one
Mm,
spot. But I don't know if it's just like my dance legs. They're not that strong anymore, I guess, but I feel like it's more muscular than other parts of my body.
yeah, that's true. I don't know. I feel like I've kind of perfected like Hattie's. I say that now, and gosh, the next time I change her pump, it's going to be painful, but like she maybe says that it hurts once every 15 site changes. And it's just because like I have figured out the exact amount of skin to like pinch up and the
Yeah.
exact amount of pressure to put down onto the pod at the same time. And then we cover it so you muffle the clicking, and then
Mm,
we wiggle it back and forth the entire time and sing a loud song. And so
that's
we just did it last night, and I asked her, like, do you not feel it at all, or do you feel it but it doesn't hurt? And she goes, I feel it happen and it doesn't hurt. So it's always like the clicking and knowing that I'm going to feel it happen, and then waiting to see after, like, is there pain that's coming with it?
that's so
You want to do one more?
yeah. This is a good one. Didn't overtreat any low blood sugars this week. That's a win and so
Yes.
hard to do.
So hard to do. So hard to do, especially when yourself or your child is talking about being really hungry. Man, I
Yeah.
feel like my favorite wins when treating lows are when she is hungry for the kitchen and I let her eat whatever. And then I manage to like dose accurately
Yep.
so that she doesn't rebound, but she's been able to eat whatever she wants, you know?
Yeah,
So
those
hard
feel
to
really
do.
good too
Yeah.
because it's really satisfying to eat when you're low. Yeah, but this one really does make a difference in management too, like being
Yeah.
able to not overtreat and
Totally.
also sometimes it feels so good to eat all that in the moment and then you have the worst like headache because it's really just eating a bunch of sugar, right? And
Yeah.
so you feel really gross after sometimes. All right,
Yeah.
well, I think that's it for this week. We are really excited to be back and releasing episodes every Tuesday again. Thank you all for hanging in there while we took a little summer break.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Is there anything else going on in our last 3 minutes? Anything you
Yeah.
want to share, like with the community?
I think some little updates we typed one together. Grandparent course is starting very soon, so definitely be on the lookout for that. It's the last time we'll do one this year. I think Auto Mode Masterclass that will already be done by the time this comes out, but the recording will still be available. So if you missed it, it'll still be there for you.
Amazing.
And we have some really exciting things coming in November, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah.
I've been slowly announcing in different places that we're having our big event in November, but I think I'm just going to say it here, November 8th, San Diego, full day from like 9 to 4 parent event. It's going to be the most epic type 1 parent event you've ever seen, I hope. We have some really fun things happening there. Like it's not just going to be it's about diabetes, but not, right? Like we want to make it fun. We want you all to have time to really hang out and talk to each other because that's what Type 1 Together is all about. So please save the date for that. There will be limited spots available. Registration will open pretty soon.
I'm so excited for that. We can't wait. And then the one thing that is not new, but I do want to remind the community about is all of our resources for back to school stuff. We're
Yes.
starting to get a lot of questions, and I'm speaking on a panel with JDRF and um, our local hospital this weekend, all about back to school stuff. And I just rewatched the masterclass that I made with Follow T1Ds, all about type 1 diabetes, like rights at school and 504 planning and stuff like that. And it's pretty thorough, you guys. Like I was watching it and I was like, it's pretty good if I do say so myself. Like it really has everything where if you're newly diagnosed or you feel really lost at like what your child's rights are or where to even go if your rights have been denied, it has all of the resources you could possibly need to start your fight if you need to fight, plus just like guidance on, hey, let's avoid the fight. And this is how you can avoid the fight and just work together.
Yeah.
Yeah, just make sure to check all that out.
And that's totally free. And I know we also have lots of previous podcast episodes, if you're new to the show, where Amanda goes through her experience in real time when that was happening, and even some other interview episodes with people who share their own 504 experiences. So
Yeah. Yeah.
lots of stuff. All right. Well, blood sugar roll
Awesome.
call.
Yeah. Gosh, I gotta go into my app. This is the best part about Hattie being at camp with the teacher that I trust so much is I don't look at the sugars at all. She's 153, right, Arrow? What about you?
Nice. I'm 107. So close to
Oh,
107.
so
Oh,
close.
yeah.
One of these days, you guys are both gonna be 108.
Yes, it will happen. All right. We'll see
All
you next week.
right. Bye.